Hey guys, here's the gear for today. Interesting story behind this Stirling soap. We have a brand new Treet Platinum blade. We're going to put it in this Wolfman WR1 46 gap razor. And this brush is a 26 millimeter Boar brush from DS Cosmetics. It's in a mysterious space handle from Yaqi. Normally those don't come empty, and indeed I had to rip out the existing knot that was in there. But I like the shape of the handle. It's nice and ergonomic and kind of big and thick, and it's been working well so far, so I'm happy about that. We'll talk about the soap, City Slicker from Stirling, in more detail a little bit later. I love this scent. I'm a big fan. Let me go ahead and unwrap this brand new Treet Platinum. I just shaved with a Treet Platinum last shave, and it's my marathon blade, and so it's got like 15 uses on it, and it did not do well with this razor. Now sometimes these Treet Platinums, it's got the little very thin paper, secondary paper inside as well, which is sometimes makes me feel a little bit more luxurious. This one will just be a test blade where I use it to use it about 10 times and then throw it away, and I'll keep my marathon one going. And it feels really thin. It just kind of feels more thin than other blades. This is a blade that sometimes just excels in certain razors, and it stuns you, and then you look online and you realize how cheap it is, and so that's why I bought about 50 of them. Actually, wait, I think about 100, because it's possible that the standard little box that these come in, the tuck, is a 10-pack, and so I may have a ton of these for a pretty low price. So let's just see. This is a low gap WR1, and you won't find too many 46 gaps out there. And who knows, maybe this one, maybe there aren't that many blades that fit well with it. Let's take a look at it right quick. Does it have a positive? No. It looks like it has a slightly negative blade exposure. And so I was looking for a really smooth WR1, and I had the 54, I think, and I thought maybe it could be a little bit smoother. It was pretty nice, but maybe it could be a little bit smoother, so I found a 46 and bought it. And I am having a heck of a time finding a blade to really work well and just excel in it. I believe maybe something like a feather or something, a brand new feather. Maybe one of those type blades might be what does well with me. The scent notes in City Slicker: amber, patchouli, oakmoss, sandalwood. Can I read my grapefruit? Reading my writing backwards here. And bergamot. I saw City Slicker when it first came out as a seasonal, and this is the larger tub. This is his usual 5.8 ounce tub. I think I originally bought it when it was in the 3 ounce tub. And I think maybe I even bought the aftershave. I could even be wrong. It's possible the aftershave came in a box of other stuff that I bought from a used perspective, and then I liked it so much I bought the soap. I don't remember exactly how it happened, but I really like the scent. Right now off the tub, it's a little bit light. I'm pretty sure I got this one used, and I don't even show myself on my database as having used City Slicker the soap. That's very strange. Was it a casual shave where I shaved with City Slicker but didn't write anything down? I don't know. I think I do have the 3 ounce tub somewhere, so that is a little bit of a mystery. I am going to get my face wet. We've got the blade loaded, so that's cool, and we'll get to loading that brush. The brush has been soaking for maybe even an hour. It's a young Boar brush, And my test lather with it went pretty well for a young boar. It's kind of stiff and kind of murders lather. It's typical for young boar brushes. And then I used it a few days ago and it did not do well. And I really needed to load a lot more lather. And so we're going to do that again today. But we're going to load, I want to load for a minute. We'll go for 25. And that's one of the reasons why I turned to Stirling, because it's such a great value of soap that even if I load for a lot longer and have a lot of excess, it's just pennies. I'd calculated that with my normal usage, a tub, this kind of tub of Stirling would last me about 13 months. And that's not skimping, that's 3 or 4 passes per shave, shaving every day. And that's a great value for a soap that you get for about $13. Looking nice, the lather, the early lather we've got going here. Just another 10-15 seconds. Young boar brushes, just I don't know exactly what attribute about them. They may not be splaying enough to hold lather between the individual fibers. It sure looks pretty normal right now, right? But and maybe I won't have a problem, but it'll be because I loaded so much. And you definitely are. Don't be surprised if you get a boar brush, and I advise you to try one because they're so cheap. Simogue has a great selection, a bunch of them for less than $15 or $20. Zenith has some cheap ones with the plastic handles. For your average person, I might recommend Zenith over Simogue. The knots seem to be a little bit bigger. They both break in really nicely. I've had them get comfortable very quickly, on the order of, with a long soak, 45 minutes before each shave, usually between 3 and 8 shaves, and then you're comfortable and everything's working normally. Well, as you can see, we do have a mess here, and I did put a little bit of it on my face. Oh man, I really enjoy that scent. And let me clean up now the jar. So I'm going to bend you down so we can look at the lather bowl a little better. It's my 3D printed bowl. I'll have info in the description of the video if you want to link to the plans to download those and be able to print them on your 3D printer. For the few of you who might have one, there are some online services that you can use to print it. There are a few local libraries out there that have 3D printers, but right now with COVID, they might have limited hours. If you go to sugardaddyshaves.com, you can find the 3D printing page where a few of my wonderful viewers have provided me notes about the services they have used and had success with. And a few of them tell about the options they chose. Maybe that would be of help to you. So, again, the notes on this one: amber, patchouli, oakmoss, sandalwood, grapefruit, and bergamot. The grapefruit is really the only oddball that you don't see in a ton of scents. All the rest of them are just so popular. And here's the thing. Rod, the maker of Stirling soaps, got such a bad response, even to the level of harassment, from people buying the City Slicker soap, that he put it on sale for a little while apparently, and then threw a ton of it away because he didn't want more people to buy it and complain about it. Many people were saying that it didn't have any scent at all. Now this scent strength is kind of low, but a lot of the Stirling soaps, they're kind of inspired by colognes, don't really smell strong to me. And so I've come to kind of expect that a little bit. 3 teaspoons of water now. The aftershave smelled great. I've got that, the alcohol splash, and it's wonderful. It's for some reason, yeah, people just either didn't like the fragrance and or just couldn't smell very much of it, and so they complained big time. I mean, more so than he might normally kind of be able to kind of write off, you know, and shake off. And so he just pitched the batch, and so I'm really happy that I have either 1 or 2 tubs of this soap. I think I even forgot about that whole controversy. I think at one point I may have learned about it, but I found, and it was even difficult to find the scent notes because he didn't have it on his site, because he's not selling it. Even trythatsoap.com didn't have any notes for it. And so I got lucky and found a guy on Reddit who had posted the scent notes in a little post that where he was the one who was talking about the whole, problem. And he actually said that for him it wasn't a light scented soap. Matter of fact, it was too strong. At this distance here, where the thing is maybe 7 inches away from my nose, 8 inches perhaps, I am getting it at a very nice scent strength. It's definitely not overwhelming. I don't know how heavy it's going to be once I start putting it on my face. And this 26 millimeter brush, I got the Boar. I wanted to try out a Boar in a larger diameter. I've got lots of those small Samog Boars that are like 18 millimeters in diameter. I don't have, I think this is going to be teaspoon number 5. I've got a lot of smaller Boars, and so I wanted to try a bigger one, because if you can get that bigger coverage, because Boars by nature don't have as dense of a knot like the Badgers. So one of the cool things, you never get that wall of Badger to where it has just tons of backbone, and just thousands and thousands of little tips. You're just not going to get that with a Boar. And so I was just raising the size of my Boar brushes and just seeing what happens. Plus, this is my first DS Cosmetics Boar. It's not really all that pretty. It's got a lot of darker fibers to it. Those do split as well. So in a sense, you don't need to get rid of those. They do split and act nicely, but I kind of like the looks of it when there's not the black fibers, and so I often will clip them out. All right, I'm going to leave this a little thicker than usual because we're dealing with a young Boar that has kind of failed me in the past. And so we're going to not take it as thin as I might normally. How about that with City Slicker? Got my face wet again, and let's start working. I have not shaved previous day, so we're looking at 2 days of growth. A good bit of backbone here. The tips are scrubby, maybe a little bit scritchy, so much that if I was using an aggressive razor, I probably would not be enjoying it all that much, because this brush would kind of irritate my tender skin because of the aggressive razor. It's almost like it was softer the first time I used it than now. I'm glad to see that the brush isn't emptying out of soap. That's good that I left it, thicker. This is a scrubby guy. So who knows how many uses it's going to take him to have those tips be nice and soft. It could be stubborn like some of my omegas where it takes hundreds of uses, in which case I will probably say, never mind, I don't want you. Or it could just take a handful. Yeah, very good. See, the lather's not getting washed out. We still have plenty of lather around on the brush. The only thing is a normal process of removing the lather from the outside here, like I just did, and then kind of circulating that inside the brush and on my face. Right now the scent is fairly light, but it's nice. So the whole story was that this is a kind of a cologne scent with some outdoorsy, parts to it. It's the amber, patchouli, oakmoss, sandalwood, and bergamot are such popular scents to put in colognes and aftershaves and soaps. I think I can pick out the grapefruit, and it does add a bit of kind of freshness to the whole thing. If this brush continues to be kind of a little too scrubby, then what I can do, use it in the shower. Take a bar soap and just work it really hard, and get your skin with it, and then let it dry for a few days. Use it for your next shower, and that can really put some uses on it and put some agitation to work those tips, that sort of thing. And the wet dry cycles as well will help you. All right, I am interested to see about the brand new blade, Treet Platinum, in the 46 gap Wolfman. Now it is moving through this hair easily. Now that's very interesting. With 2 days of growth, in many cases, even with a newer blade, you'd get some tugging, and I'm getting almost none, so that's nice. You never know. This is a cheap blade, inexpensive, and you never know which one's going to hit. With any given razor, you could have 3 of your favorite razors, and each one of them might have a different blade that works best in them. This is easy cutting and much more comfortable than most razors when I have 2 days of stubble to take down. And I got the lather dialed in right. I wanted it a little thicker than usual, and that's exactly what I've got. Still going to keep that lighter touch because of its mild nature with other blades. I got to resist that temptation to bear down harder. All right, let's get a good rinse. I can smell right now the kind of the remnants of the soap around me, which is very nice. And as long as it's a part of the shave, I want it to be a part and impact my shave with its scent. Otherwise it might as well be unscented, right? It's just the way I like to have it. Some people like to have unscented throughout the shave, and then they will do the scent via the aftershave product or the cologne afterwards. All right, but not me. So let us, I just rinsed, kind of charge up the brush again, and I can push this down pretty hard because it's got so much backbone. It's not gonna hurt the brush at all until this thing starts opening up. I don't have to scrub too much. Now that, fortunately, with a kind of scrubby brush like this, just kind of painted on. What a great lather. Man, what a great scent. Why in the world when people just get all up in arms? He was so tired of dealing with people, Rod was, that he just threw away perfectly good soap. That's just nuts. It must have been really bad. Now we'll do cross grain. This is moving easily across my face. It's not even that first pass was not really giving me a clue that I was dealing with 2 days of growth. Now maybe 1 day of growth would be even more comfortable and smooth. I'm very curious if this level of comfort that I'm enjoying is going to be paired with a nice close result in my trouble spot as well. Sometimes comfort is the only benefit and I don't get a close cut. And it's because of that comfort, the mildness, that I don't get that nice cut. Good rinse now. Okay. I'll tell you what, I don't know if the brush is just somehow doing better because it got used a couple times, or if I just needed to mix the lather a little thicker than usual. I mean, I do have probably another 4 passes in there. Look how wet it's getting. It's able to drip. See how this DS Cosmetics knot works after a while. Now at least I know to maybe run it a little thicker, and that'll help the brush as it breaks in and make it a little bit more forgiving. So my hands during the rinsing part after the first pass felt a very smooth face. I was very happy with those results. With a mild blade and razor setup like this, I was very happy to feel that. And then just now after the second pass, my hands felt during the rinse an even smoother face. Just tremendous. I'm kind of expecting to see really good close results here. And you never know. You never know which combo is going to be the winning one. And a theory that I've thrown out there several times is that when you have a middle of the road razor that gives kind of average aggression, average comfort, just right in the middle of the road, then blade choice often doesn't matter all that much. It can help tweak a razor slightly one way or the other. Now I'm going to switch directions and do this. Ooh, pretty nice. Much better than the 15 use Treet that I used last shave. Very nice. When you're in the middle ground there, I don't think you're going to see as much difference when you switch blades. But this razor is not in the middle ground. And I've got others as well that are on the mild end of the spectrum. And so when you start getting to the end of the spectrum, that slight tilt plus or minus that you might get because of a blade change doesn't stay in a nice wide area. If you're on the mild side, and then you're using a blade that ends up to kind of be mild for you, that can take the razor even milder, and you don't get a close cut, perhaps. And so the blade choice, when you're at the end of the spectrum, can often make a much more noticeable and larger difference. And so definitely if you have either a highly aggressive razor or a highly mild razor, feel free to play around with your blades and get a sampler if you haven't, and see what you discover, see if my theory is true. And so the way that theory also may pan out is that this razor could be very picky in the razor that I use, in the razor blade that I use. And that pickiness could even be where a 15-use Treet Platinum doesn't work very well at all, but a 1 to 3 use Platinum, that same model blade, works perfectly. But it's just such an edge case that the blade changes a little bit, and then it is different enough to make a difference in the closeness that I get. Right now, after my rinse, my face is feeling good. I do feel maybe one tiny little bit of tenderness, but nothing like any weepers. And in general, face feels very good. And I love that terrific slickness, the residual slickness that Stirling is still providing right now. I can feel it. Let me pause you and take a good inspection here of this area. Now that's a really good cut. This is a very happy camper. This may be one of the best blades that I've used with this razor, and I'm very encouraged. That's very, very nice. I'm going to use this blade again tomorrow. I want to try it on a 1-day growth and see what we get. Now I've got Stirling Balm here as well. Executive Man is one I've had for a while, and I want to use it up before he goes bad. These balms don't last forever. The soaps can last for years, but the balms, this one's a couple of years old. I don't want it. I don't want to chance it anymore. And I left my face a little wet, and so this stuff will spread very nicely. If you need it to be a little bit more nourishing, then don't have your face quite as wet and use more product, and it'll help you out a little better. I've got oily skin anyway, so I'm good. All right, so Executive Man, of course, is Aventus. Now, I thought in my brain back there, I thought I remember City Slicker being a dupe of some scent, but I really could be totally wrong. It could be an original scent. I think I might have to send Rod a message and tell him how much I enjoy it. I really do. It's like a grapefruit twist on some really classic soap fragrances. Not super strong, but it was present during the shave. And for you overloaders out there who face lather, you're going to get even more of a hit of it. But I mean, I don't guess I need to advertise it because it's hard to get right now because Rod had to dispose of it, right? And I guess enough people didn't like it to where maybe I don't need to tell people about it, right? Well, I have Stirling's Beef Tallow soap base here. Is so wonderful. Look at that. So I hit the mix right on it. I guess 5 teaspoons of water. And that is just perfect for this brush. Big fan. Big fan. Still holding its own weight. It's not quite as sloppy and slippery as many of the lathers that I do with Stirling, but this is exactly where I wanted it for this brush. I didn't want it to thin down too much. So terrific. Way to go, brush. All right. The Balm here, Executive Man, Creed Aventus dupe, is masking a lot of the soap. I took the lather bowl, brought it up to my face, and I wasn't able to smell too much. I think that's a lot. I bet that's because a lot of these notes are in the City Slicker as well. All right. Well, very good. I picked a great soap to work with, and I discovered a little bit of an adventure behind the scent, and I'm really glad to have my own tub of it. It's going to last a very long time. Now, my other Treet blade, I have an M for Marathon, and I have the dots inside of it in that secondary piece of paper. But since this is my kind of test blade, I'm able to put the dots here on the outside for the first use. And then when it gets to about 10 or 12, I'll throw it away, get out another brand new one, for testing purposes, or if I just feel like having a fresh blade and I can keep my marathon blades separate. But if it's going to be used in this razor, that marathon blade's not going to last very long. But I got a feeling in other razors it might do better. A couple notes about new Boar brushes. You can see how they do start to kind of come out as you use them, and then gradually you're looking for a couple of things to happen. Number one, you don't mind if there are bristles that break, that come out, because especially with the cheaper ones, you're not paying anybody to comb them and get the bristles that never made it into the glue bump. You don't worry about it. About 50 or 60 shaves in, if that's how many uses the brush has, and it's still shedding, I might be concerned. But I wouldn't even be concerned if I got 20 bristles out during the first 10 shaves. I wouldn't care at all. And also when you're, I have very little shedding problem on any of my brushes. I only soak them in lukewarm water and only up to the top of the bristles and not the handle. I don't want that waterlogged. I don't want that to get inside there. And a lot of people just drop their brush in hot water, and that's going to cause temperature change, expansion and contraction in the glue here, and then that is going to eventually weaken, cause it to open and close, open and close, open and close, and eventually you'll often get some shedding. You could even have the knot come out. If the knot ever does come out, it's easy to put back in. You just clean out all the glue, and I like to use silicone, and it will, and that's what I use to affix this one, and it'll be fairly permanent. But you can still yank it out if you need to pretty easily if you want to switch. And if I discover this is an amazing knot, maybe I want to switch it to a nicer handle. Who knows? So I'm a big fan of silicone. I do have a video out there about changing knots, re-knotting a brush. It's very easy. With Boars, I gave it a good drying, a good stropping on the towel here. And that activity also helps to those tips to split. So we're waiting on the tips to split. We're also hoping that it widens out a little bit, because that will give a little bit less backbone, a little bit less scratchiness, and more space between the bristles to hold more lather. Right now, at least with this Stirling mix, it was holding a nice amount, a normal amount of lather, and so perhaps it has broken into the point of that. I'm just waiting for it to break into the point of comfort. And with mini Boars, you just have to wait it out. There are shortcuts that some guys use to make a Boar break in quicker. And like a long soak, 3 days in the refrigerator is one that I believe came about because of a misunderstanding of an Italian man's video. He used the words he used were translated cold water, but in Italian that just means kind of tap water, cool water, as in not hot. But anyway, people have adapted that to mean a fridge soak, and then every once in a while you bring it out and you rub it vigorously on a towel. That kind of heavy-handedness to me seems like it might be a little too much. I want these tips to break in a secure way, in the best way possible, the strongest way, so that they are the best little smaller tips that they can get, that they can become. And so I might do a 1 hour or 2 hour soak in the beginning parts of the process in lukewarm water before the shave, but that's really as far as I'll go myself. Some people just use them, just keep using them, and they'll break in. And there's nothing wrong with that either, for sure. That's a very safe way to go. Let's see, there was one thing else I wanted to say, but I can't really remember. Some people use a hair dryer, and I believe that might be a little too aggressive in terms of getting these guys to split. Also, with a new brush, especially one that doesn't have, like Samogan Zenith often have been very meticulously looked through, and they don't have pretty low percentage of the kind of the thicker hairs, the more firm hairs that look kind of blocky even up to the tip top. But some of the cheaper ones, it's easier to find those blocky fibers, and if you feel of them, and they feel extra prickly, they feel a lot more sturdy and prickly than the fibers around them, then I pull them off to the side and clip them off with a pair of scissors. You've got thousands of bristles here, and get rid of those thick ones. All right, that's what I do. All right, guys, I think we're in great shape. I'm enjoying the scent that's around me. The soap scent is, I think it's contributing a little bit to the Aventus, to the Executive Man. We loaded for 1 minute and we used, I believe, 5 teaspoons of water. Soap was wonderful. Performance was excellent, very slick. And this could be a great blade for this razor. Very happy there. Happy I found that. All right, guys, you take care. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves, and I really hope that there's something in this video to help you out. Have a good night. Bye.